I am of the idea that when you have nothing to say about something, it is better to not talk about it at all. And luckily, this is not the case whatsoever. I am a huge fan of the original Final Fantasy VII and of the first remake of this modern trilogy, and in 7 Rebirth, I see an improvement in almost everything that was done with the first game. So that's extremely positive, and there's a lot of positive I have to talk about. In fact, I love the connected vast areas the game has, and I found it was a pretty clever idea that more recently also a game like Monster Hunter Wilds employed for its title and its map, so this way the developers can offer us the illusion of an open world while at the same time giving us only the rich portions packed with content of the map, while cutting the barren lands that commonly developers use to conjoin these larger, more detailed regions. The expanded combat system also is absolutely perfect in my opinion. Every time I try to imagine a fan game that I could see and I want to see of a franchise that I love, like an anime or something like that it would fit in a modern JRPG style of a sense of a video game, or a remake or a rebranding of some older JRPGs or older titles for PlayStation 1 as an example in a modern key, my mind always goes to Final Fantasy VII Remake and now Rebirth combat style, which is an improvement in every way of the already amazing one that we had in Remake. With this combat system, you really have a chance to make every single character shine for their own uniqueness, and all of them are fun to use in their own unique way, with their own skill tree and also their abilities, and the added tag attacks like combo attacks that the characters can do together can make even the most diehard fan fiction writers of the game completely lose their mind, seeing their favorite characters bond with each other through these spectacular, very detailed animations. The minigames and side content of the game also took a lot of the love from the developers. You can see that since they're all quite different, and while some are absolutely genius and so good that they could stand as their own mini game or little standalone game, like as an example, of course, Fort Condor, Queen's Blood, or the football game that you have with Red 13, and maybe some others that I still have not encountered. Some other side missions really made me lose a lot of the excitement and also the momentum that I had picked up as I was playing the game. One above all of them is the Moguri, like the Mogs mini games you have, or the ones where you gotta find these little shards for the various summons so you can weaken them and then fight them in the simulator, or where you find sources of Mako spread around, which although they're beautiful, the interaction you have game-wise is really not there. I would have preferred something different, even a group picture that the whole crew could take together. Or yet again, another one is the classic Ubisoft tower. So you basically have those little towers you go, usually you have like, you know, a pretty easy battle, you defeat the boss, you go up the tower and you have that portion of the map revealed to you. That's, you know, these kind of things are, they have, in my opinion, no place in a modern game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it made me quite disappointed to see. Not to the point, of course, to be detrimental or that I would take away points in my review in the end, but something that, you know, I would have not expected, especially when I saw a lot of my friends and a lot of other big personalities on YouTube talk so well about the game, and I try to not spoil myself. Even to this day, I still don't know how it ends, and I'll find out as I finish my gameplay finally. And the other main element that really made me slow down with the game is exactly how much the game itself slows down in the main quest itself. When it comes to secondary missions, as an example, I found most of them are not only very well written, but also pretty surprising in where they are going to lead you, and end up paying off very well, helping you also increase the bond with your characters, both in-game as a game mechanic, and also as you, the player, falling in love with these characters all over again. Allow me to make 2 examples that are still pretty early on in the game, so I'm not spoiling too much for people. There's these 2 side quests in Calm as you basically start the game, so I hope I'm not spoiling anyone with this, but you need to find someone's rare Queen's Blood card that has been stolen away, and as you go through and have this card game duels, which again, I truly freaking love Queen's Blood, the story itself is rather simple, and this card does happen to go through several deals, several hands, like it would happen IRL. But at the end, not only do you get the card as a payoff, but you get this amazing cutscene with Tifa that has hit me in the feel so hard as someone who was a fan of the original games. Let's move to the second example, second side quest before I can get to my point. So again, another side quest, this time at the Chocobo Farm, where I love the interactions with the characters, but here you have this side quest where you're basically finally able to take Aerith to a field of flowers outside outside of Midgar and allow her to freely pick them up and enjoy her time there. And this dawned on me slowly as I was going through the game, and how beautiful and thoughtful of a little side quest this was, allowing you to continue this bond we have with these characters, even IRL, after all these years. These two side quests are just that, side content to a game, but helped us remember the greater scope of these remakes. Us against Destiny, trying to defy what it was, what has been, having another drink with Tifa in 7th Heaven, or taking Aerith to an all-flower field, all the flower fields she might desire in the future. And the peaks of this game can be very, very high, such as these ones, even in what is ultimately side content that ultimately most players won't even face, especially the casual ones. But what I don't like about it is that the lows of the game can also be pretty low, like again the Moguri side game that I even questioned what I was doing with my time, as you know, a more grown-up gamer now, as years have passed and I have limited time to dedicate to this hobby, and I find myself doing these kind of things, and it legit felt like I was playing something like Genshin Impact in the moment, like one of its usual events and mini games to get some gacha currency, and that somehow kind of pissed me off when I realized some of the side content really felt like it was there just to make the game feel richer and more packed with content, while in my opinion it should be quality over quantity anytime for such a game, for this type of games, for what is Square Enix and what Square Enix has always stood for. So yeah, this main problem plus the more fillers approach the story has been having, which already had remake, but in remake I kind of justified it because you wanted to be in Midgard a little bit more, so you had to somewhat give it a full game experience while still being in Midgard. But in my opinion, in Rebirth, the amount of content was already there, like the game was already packed full. As an example, as you go through the Mithril Caves, and then you have to do this whole extra section with Barret and Red 13, because the game was like, oh, you probably have not used these two guys at all at this point, so let me force you a little to go through with them. It kind of feels like they thought about it in a second moment, as in even the cutscene when it happens, it almost feels like they forgot that they wanted to do this sort of separated group. So when it happens, it feels completely out of the story, like it really takes you out. It's such a huge, just like gameplay sort of justification for it. But the correct way to see this video as the viewers, just check it as a sort of checkpoint, where after my first impressions video I did almost 2 months ago, and I still have not managed to complete the game, so that's where I tell you the momentum for me has been really killed as I was going through. But in that first impressions video I glazed the game to incredible levels. I'm here to tell you instead my updated impressions after put some actual proper hours into the game, and I still haven't finished it, but you can see how my expectations in some things have not been met, and probably it's also on me, like having way too high of expectations. But also in some other instances you see how I am actually loving the game for certain things even more, and I see basically no other competitor. There's nothing else like it on the market right now. So in a sense, Square Enix is really playing its own league, and nobody can match them right now when it comes to certain elements, mainly the combat system and also the love they have for the characters specifically. But when it comes to story, when it comes to some of the side content, and when it comes to sort of the clunkiness of the areas they created for the open map, I really think they could have done a better job. So I really cannot wait in the end to finish this one, of course, and properly review it, but to check their final chapter for this and see how crazy of a surprise they prepare for us. But I will always be supporting this franchise and this specific sub-franchise, Final Fantasy VII. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing. That truly helped me a ton. But with that said, take care, stay healthy, and bye bye.